under the most visited ancient site on Earth, something was detected in 2017 that no human being has since entered. Muon particles fired from space passed through the Great Pyramid and came back carrying a signal, a void 30 meters long, sealed inside the stone since the time of pharaohs. Scientists know exactly where it is. They cannot reach it. They have not tried. That is not an anomaly. That is a pattern. Every famous place you think you understand, every monument, cathedral, national park, and palace that has made it into a textbook has something beneath it that its official description does not mention. Not a hidden room, not a forgotten corridor. In several cases, a civilization you were never supposed to find. Today I will show you 7 secrets buried beneath famous places. Each one goes deeper than the last, not just in meters, but in what it reveals about what was hidden, forgotten, or simply never told. The escalation axis is prohibition. Each place on this list adds one more layer of official silence on top of what lies underground. By the end, we return to Giza, where a claim written by a Greek historian 2,500 years ago is now being confirmed by instruments he could not have imagined. That confirmation has no official explanation yet. The void is real. No one has entered. We begin not in Egypt, but beneath the loudest building in ancient Rome. Rome, 80 AD. The Colosseum has just opened. 100 days of games, 9,000 animals, more than 2,000 gladiators. None of this happened at ground level. 8 meters beneath the arena floor, beneath the sand that absorbed the blood, lies a 2,000 square meter network of corridors and chambers the crowd above never saw. Romans called the floor the arena, from their word for sand. The sand covered what happened underneath. What happened underneath was designed to be invisible. 32 elevator shafts ran vertically through the hypogeum. Each one was operated by a team of slaves below. On command, a platform rose through a trapdoor. A lion, a tiger, a bear, a man. They appeared from the floor without warning. No gate swinging open, no entrance tunnel, a trapdoor in the sand, then 200 kilograms of animal arriving at arena level with nowhere to go. The animals were held below for weeks before the games. Some had been transported from North Africa, from the jungles of Asia, from the marshes of the Nile. They arrived in the city and descended immediately into Roman masonry. Lions born in the Sahara went underground and never saw open sky again. Picture yourself down there, in the minutes before the gates open. A stone corridor 3 meters wide. 60 centimeters to your left, through iron bars, a lion that has not eaten in 3 days. Above you, 80,000 Romans. The noise comes through the floor as a physical pressure in your chest. In 1996, a joint Italian-American team completed the first full structural survey of the hypogeum. They found chambers sealed since the 5th century. Inside, organic remains, tools, the remnants of rope harnesses used to guide the elevator platforms. The mechanical system was more sophisticated than anything the textbooks credited Rome with building at that period. Everyone knows the arena. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. If the mechanics of what Rome buried under its most public monument stay with you, stay with this. Each place on this list conceals something older, harder to access, and less officially acknowledged than the one before it. The most visited religious building in the world sits on top of a cemetery, not metaphorically, physically. In 1939, workers excavating beneath St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, under orders from Pope Pius XII, descended 10 meters below the marble floor and found themselves inside a 2nd-century street of mausoleums. The city of the dead that had existed here before Constantine paved over it in 324 AD. The street ran approximately 100 meters. Along both sides, 17 mausoleums, many with painted walls intact after 16 centuries under marble. Pagan burial chambers next to Christian ones. A Roman imperial circus buried under a church built by a Roman emperor. The irony was lost on no one at the excavation. At the far end of the street, excavators found a small shrine. Behind the shrine, inside a niche in the wall, was a collection of bones, wrapped in a piece of purple cloth threaded with gold. In 1968, Pope Paul VI announced that the bones of the Apostle Peter had been identified with reasonable certainty. The bones matched a man between 60 and 70 years of age from the 1st century. The gold-threaded cloth was consistent with imperial burial custom. Today, the necropolis is accessible to roughly 250 people per day, by advance reservation only. You walk the same street early Christians walked. The mausoleums are lit by indirect light, painted plaster from the 2nd century, pagans crossing a river, harvest scenes, portraits of the dead, has not faded in 1700 years. What the official tour does not address is how much of the street remains unexcavated. The basilica above restricts any further digging. Its foundations sit directly on what may be the largest undisturbed early Christian burial site on Earth. Excavating further risks the building above, so the excavation stops where the marble columns begin, and what comes after those columns stays sealed. Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. The world's most visited museum stands above a cemetery for 6 million people. The Catacombs of Paris were established in 1786, when overcrowded churchyards began contaminating the drinking water. Bones were transferred at night, by torchlight, into the ancient limestone quarries beneath the city. For 28 years, remains from cemeteries across Paris were relocated underground. The total today, approximately 6 million sets of remains. The official ossuary open to tourists runs about 2 kilometers. The quarries themselves run for 300. The stone that built the Louvre, that built Notre Dame, that built the Palais Royal and the Sorbonne, it came from underground quarries that are now connected tunnels running beneath all of them. The Louvre sits on stone cut from corridors that pass directly under its own floors. 10 million visitors per year walk above them. 200 known entry points exist across the city. Urban explorers the French call cataphiles have been mapping sections the city government has never surveyed. Paris admits it does not have a complete map of the network. Officials know it exists. They do not know all of it. In 2004, police discovered a fully equipped cinema carved into the living rock beneath a residential district. A screen, seats, a restaurant, a bar, a telephone line the city had not authorized. The cables had been connected from somewhere. No one was ever identified. No one claimed it. In 2022, a cataphile documented a section of tunnel passing directly beneath the Louvre's main exhibition hall. The ceiling stones above him were marked with quarry cuts from the 13th century. Above those stones, tourists stood in front of the Mona Lisa. Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. The most secured government complex in Russia has an underground transit network that Russia officially does not acknowledge exists. The civilian Moscow metro runs at an average depth of 30 to 50 meters. Metro 2, internal Soviet codename D6, runs deeper. Western intelligence agencies first documented its existence formally in a 1992 CIA report. The tunnels are estimated at 60 kilometers total length. The deepest confirmed sections reach 200 meters below the surface. 4 lines. The first connects the Kremlin to the Ministry of Defense headquarters. The second runs to a bunker complex at Ramenki, in the southwest of Moscow, designed to shelter 15,000 people for 30 days under nuclear conditions. A third line runs toward Vnukovo Airport. The fourth line's route remains contested in Western intelligence documents. The Russian government has never confirmed Metro 2. It has never denied it either. The position is simply nothing to address. In 2019, a Russian urban explorer documented a concrete shaft near the Kremlin walls. The shaft descended past the civilian metro level, past the bedrock layer, into a lined tunnel heading west. He published the photographs. The account disappeared from Russian-language platforms within 48 hours. Metro 2 is not a theory. The United States Department of Defense referenced it by its Soviet designation in declassified planning documents. An entire parallel transit network beneath the most monitored capital in the country, officially unnamed, officially absent. If a government can build 60 kilometers of tunnel under its most visible city and maintain silence for 80 years, the question is not whether other governments have done it. The question is, which ones stopped? Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. For a century, archaeologists believed they understood Machu Picchu, 140 structures, an agricultural terrace system, a citadel 1,500 meters above the Sacred Valley, abandoned in 1572. Extraordinarily preserved. In 2023, a team from the Université Libre de Bruxelles applied LiDAR scanning to the full plateau. Laser pulses fired through vegetation and soil, measuring returns to build 3-dimensional subsurface maps. The scan revealed 29 previously unrecorded structures beneath the known site, not on the edges of the plateau, beneath its center. underground chambers that correspond to no documented feature of Inca construction. Their purpose is not established. Their age is not established. The hydraulic system the scan confirmed in greater detail is its own problem. Machu Picchu has 16 fountains, all gravity-fed through a channel system that draws from a spring on the opposite face of the mountain. The channel descends 749 meters over a horizontal distance of 730 meters, maintaining a flow rate that modern hydrological engineers have struggled to reverse engineer with full computing resources. The Inca engineers who built it had stone, rope, and an understanding of water behavior that produces results modern engineers cannot derive from first principles. The spring itself is now enclosed. Flow is decreasing. Ground-penetrating radar surveys from 2022 detected subsurface anomalies at multiple points across the central plaza, matching the acoustic signature of sealed voids. Whether they were sealed from inside or outside, the radar cannot determine. 1 million visitors per year walk the plaza above them. Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. 4 million people visit Yellowstone National Park each year. They walk the boardwalks above the geysers. They photograph the bison. They stand at the edge of the Grand Prismatic Spring, whose colors come from heat-resistant microorganisms living in 88-degree water. What the park entrance sign does not say is that those visitors are standing on top of the largest active supervolcano on the North American continent. The Yellowstone caldera measures 72 by 55 kilometers, approximately the area of Los Angeles. The ground across that zone rises and falls in cycles seismologists have tracked since 1923. In some years, the uplift reaches 70 centimeters. In 2004, a thermal anomaly pushed ground temperatures in one section of the park to 93 degrees Celsius at the surface. The soil killed the grass. In 2015, a University of Utah team completed the most comprehensive imaging of the magma system to date. The lower magma reservoir they found was 2.5 times larger than all previous estimates. Its volume, 46,000 cubic kilometers of partially molten rock. That is enough material, at eruption, to bury the state of Wyoming under 2 meters of ash. The last full eruption was 640,000 years ago. The one before that, 1.3 million years ago. The one before that, 2.1 million years ago. The interval between each, approximately 800,000 years. Between the most recent eruption and today, 640,000 years. Yellowstone is not a park. It is a geological clock. The visitors' centers are built on top of it. The concession stands are built on top of it. The boardwalks and the gift shops and the parking lots are all built on top of it, and the clock has been running for 640,000 years since its last reset. Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. We began here. A void 30 meters long, detected in 2017 by muon tomography. Cosmic particles arriving from space passed through 2.6 million stone blocks, weighing an average of 2.5 tons each, and reported back. Empty space where there should be solid stone. The study appeared in Nature. The team confirmed it independently in 2023 from a second angle. The void is real. It has not been entered. No one has announced plans to enter it. But the pyramid is not where this story begins. In 1933, Egyptian archaeologist Selim Hassan excavated the plateau surrounding the pyramids and found an extensive tunnel network cut into the bedrock beneath it. Galleries, chambers, flooded shafts. Several had been deliberately sealed from the outside. In 1999, a team from the Supreme Council of Antiquities pumped water out of a flooded shaft on the Giza Plateau. They descended 30 meters through 3 levels. At the 3rd level, a flooded corridor with a central island. On the island, a granite sarcophagus, sealed, surrounded by carved images of 4 guardians. They opened it. Empty. The shaft is called the Tomb of Osiris. Whether the sarcophagus was ever occupied, whether the corridors beneath it extend further into the bedrock, whether the flooded galleries connect to anything under the pyramid itself, these questions have no official answers. Water fills the lower levels each year. No sustained excavation has been funded. Herodotus, writing in 450 BCE, 2,200 years before the first modern archaeologist reached Giza, described underground chambers beneath the pyramid complex. He described an island. He described passages connecting structures that no longer appear on the surface. He described water from the Nile reaching the underground level. Scholars treated his account as embellishment for 2,000 years. The shaft confirmed his island. The muon void confirmed his chambers. The water appears seasonally, exactly as he described. One camp says these are coincidences, that Herodotus was amplifying stories he heard in passing, that the void detected by muon tomography is a construction chamber with no further significance. The other camp says the most studied ancient structure in human history has an underground dimension we have not fully mapped, and that a historian who died in 425 BCE described it more accurately than any survey conducted between then and 2017. Write in the comments which camp you belong to. Everyone knows what stands above. Almost no one is told what lies beneath. 7 places. The mechanical darkness under Rome's most public arena. The street of the dead beneath the most visited cathedral. 6 million remains under the world's most visited museum. A transit network that officially does not exist under the most monitored capital. An impossible hydraulic system and 29 unmapped chambers under the most studied Inca site. A geological clock running beneath America's most beloved national park. And beneath the most studied ancient structure on Earth, a void confirmed by 2 independent teams, and an island described correctly by a man who died before Rome had an emperor. In every case, the version we were given was accurate. The pyramid is real. The museum is real. The park is real. Nobody lied. They stopped at the surface. The pattern holds across continent and century and political system. The famous thing, the thing on the tourist map, the school photograph, the entrance sign, floats above an older, larger, and more complicated reality that the official description omits. Not through deception, through limitation. We named these places from what we could see when we first arrived, and what we could see was the surface. The earth beneath is patient. It holds what it holds. When the instrument finally arrives, a muon scanner, a LiDAR flight, a 1999 water pump lowered into a flooded shaft, the story simply adds a floor. Sometimes several. The question is, which famous places haven't been looked at yet? And what is already known about them that isn't being said? There is a version of this question that goes further than a chamber or a tunnel or a magma reservoir. There are places where entire cities were built underground and then sealed. Not abandoned, sealed. Gates locked from the outside, exits buried deliberately by the people who built them, who understood exactly what they were doing. 7 of those cities exist. Some of them held tens of thousands of people. Their builders sealed them with enough food and water to last months, then left and never returned. The sealing was not accidental. It was planned. Why someone builds a city designed to be abandoned from the outside is a different kind of question than anything in this list. Not geology, not archaeology, not government secrecy. A decision. Made once, never reversed.